Hello, I haven't done a book tag in a little bit, and I was tagged by Books I'm Not Reading. And this is a unique tag because it's actually tagging different booktubers. The original creator of this does this every year where he takes prompts based off of other booktubers. Aaron Read a Book is the original author of this. Thank you, Books I'm Not Reading, for tagging me. This is really fun. The first prompt is a book that left you in a daze or a book that takes place over a few days. I decided to kind of combine this. There was a book that took place, it seems like a few days, but it also is kind of like, what is going on here when I was reading it? Didn't really know what was going on, and I was definitely in some sort of shock or daze while reading it. And that is Where the Forest Meets the Stars. This is about a woman that has overcome, she's only in her late 20s, a form of cancer. And she goes to a little cottage. She has something that she has to do there. She has a neighbor. And so while she's there, she's in the woods and she comes across this girl in her pajamas. The girl says she is an alien from another planet and that she has to find 5 miracles before she goes back to her planet to report what she finds. I was just like, okay. But the relationship that is formed between this woman and this young girl, and even with the neighbor, it is really cute. And both of those people are like, is this girl for real? They're trying to find her family. They're like, little girl, are you okay? And she says that she's like occupying a dead girl's body. It is just a little bit out there, but it was really good. And that's what's so crazy. I remember giving this a high rating and really loving this book, but it was definitely not a type of book that I tend to read. The next one is a book with a boat or sailing in it. Right away, I thought of Afloat, a memoir. This is a story about a woman that lives on a houseboat and just her experiences of living that way and what it was like for her, the challenges that she had. I get fascinated by stories that are like that. And the third one is a short, fast read you could finish in one sitting. I struggled to try to remember because there are so many books that I have finished in one sitting. The book If by Amy Carmichael, it is very, very beautiful. And I finished this in a half an hour. I know it's very short. It has a lot of really good wise sayings throughout it. It's poetic. And I have read so many of Amy Carmichael's writings. This is definitely the briefest that I've read, but it was one of the introductions. It might have been the second book that I read of hers, but it was just very lovely. And she was a missionary woman. The next one is a book that hit me hard emotionally. Any emotion. One of my very favorite books is Left to Tell. This is also one I read in 3 hours. This was one of the first books that I read that quickly. Actually, I read this several years ago. Like, my firstborn was a baby and now he's about to turn 19. So that was a little crazy to think about, that he was like a newborn when I read this book. It is about the genocide that happened in Rwanda in the early 1990s. So if you're not familiar with that, there were these groups of people that started to just break out thinking they were better than another group. And they used to all live civilly and without issue, but the killings were just rampant everywhere. And so this one woman, she hid out in a private room. It was a private bathroom, and she hid out there, and a pastor hid her. And he was from the main tribe that was causing most of the violence. And so he hid her. She stayed mainly in the bathtub, and then other women also stayed in that bathtub for a very long time. She learned while in that tub how to focus on God, and her prayer life was incredible. She started to see miracles happen because of her prayers. She asked the pastor for a Bible. He gave it to her, and she would read that Bible, and it is what kept her going. When she found out the result of her family members, if any of them were alive or not, she learned to forgive the people that killed certain family members, and how this was a real story that took place. And it blew me away. It definitely hit me hard emotionally, because if I went through all those struggles that she went through, and to learn the outcome of it, and that she had zero issue with forgiving the person that harmed her family. It was beautiful. This is such a good book. It's one of my 5-star reads. It is so amazing, and I don't know anyone else who has read this book. The next prompt, this is number 5, a book that pulled you into a subject, or your favorite Terry Pratchett book. Now, I've never read Terry Pratchett. I'm so sorry. There was a book that changed my life and perspective to the point that I read over 100 books on the same topic and continue to read to this day. This will be my 19th year of reading books about this topic. The book that inspired that was Not for Sale. It is outdated now, but it told about all sorts of different types of human trafficking situations. It gave statistics of the time, which back then it was 27 million people that were enslaved worldwide. Now we know it's about 43 to 47 million people, which is insane. But yes, it gives stories, it gives examples, and it was so amazing. I read as many books as I could find on that topic before eventually being a part of a nonprofit that works to fight human trafficking that I've been with for now 13 years this month. So happy anniversary to me. Next one is a book with a character from the lower social classes or a book set during the Renaissance. So I have read certain books that are set in the Renaissance period. Instead, I chose Mary Barton. This was such a moving book. I loved this. I cried. A story about a woman and her family and how they're dealing with the struggles that they're going through. It's not set in the Renaissance, but it is a Victorian age book, and it is incredibly moving and very sad too, but it is so good. I had a really hard time finding a book that had silver, and I don't remember which ones were shiny. There is Legend. This book wasn't one of my favorites, but this is about two 15-year-olds. You get two different perspectives. One is of a person named Day. He wants to protect his family from a plague. Then there's June. She is in a very safe environment. She has had no issues. She is so smart. They live in a place that's called the Republic. It's supposed to be the US, but after a situation that took place, it's like a dystopian type of story. But I struggle to even get into this book, but this is silver, so I'm gonna put that there. I know lots of people love this series. Your favorite hardback that you own, or your favorite classic, or even for an extra bonus, your favorite classic hardback. So I have that combination. I have mentioned before The Wind in the Willows, how much I love this book. And I think I mentioned before that the first book that I remember actually really loving and receiving was my oldest brother bought me a copy, this copy of The Wind in the Willows. It was a hardback copy, and it was like this big. It was really big, and it had those like hand cut pages, and I had never seen that before, and so I would always touch them. It had beautiful illustrations throughout it. Oh, I just loved it so much, and I kept it for, it was a book that I kept for a long time, and then after I read it to my two older sons, I passed it along and I said goodbye to it. But it was an amazing book that I had since I was like 7-8 years old, and it just was so beautiful, and I loved it very dearly, and it's still one of my favorite books, and that is the prettiest copy I've still seen to this day. And the last prompt is to have a book that is the, and then it has to have two words after it in the title. So right away it dawned on me instantly, The Last Unicorn. I love this book. It was very good, and I love the animated cartoon, or the anime. I just grew up with that. I really loved it. If you don't know the story of The Last Unicorn, the book is not too different from the movie. There is a lot more poetry throughout it. It is very well written. I really love how Peter S. Beagle wrote this book. This is a story about a unicorn. She thinks she's the last one that exists. She goes on a journey trying to find others, and she meets some friends along the way that want to help her out and that think she is so special. But she finds out that there is this evil king and wants to put an end to her. And it is a very sad tale. It's a very enjoyable fantasy story that I think a lot of people could appreciate. And I've always loved unicorns, and I've told people that when the day comes that I do die, I'm gonna have a unicorn in heaven because God can make anything. And I've said that since I was a child. I really love unicorns. I'm one of those horsey girls, and I don't talk about it much, but I really am. Anyway, so then there is a bonus prompt. So everyone gets to make their own bonus prompt. So that way when they tag someone or tag people, they can answer your prompt that you come up with. So I will be tagging some people, but there is a specific person that I'm tagging for this as well. So I have two options for this prompt. The first one, the prompt has to do with your own username. So my username now being Hot Cocoa and Books. I want you to find a book that talks about someone having hot cocoa, hot chocolate. I've read about it in multiple books over the many years. You could totally remember that people, you know, especially if it's a book for children, moms will make their kids hot chocolate in books. Or if it's a winter Christmassy book, a lot of times people will make hot chocolate in those books. But maybe it's even on the cover to make it easier for you. Otherwise, I'm also going to make a prompt specifically because all of these prompts actually were made off of people's usernames on BookTube. So mine is for Amy of Hearthridge. So I want you to find a book that has a hearth on the cover, or like a fireplace that has a hearth, or maybe there's part where they are laying near a hearth in the story. Some type of story where there is going to be a fireplace and that you know, oh, this totally is a fireplace. Yes, that would be really great as a prompt. And maybe she can even use this prompt herself for her bonus question. But so those are my two things. Whoever does these tags, I hope to see your videos.